thank you all for coming out this evening. It really is an honor and pleasure to be here talking about National Geographic in somewhat of a light that maybe some of you know about, but maybe some of you don't know about. I mean, everybody knows about the Golden Rectangle and about the National Geographic magazine. Most of you know about our channel and the fact that through our media, we reach almost 400 million souls around the world. It's incredible, and it's an honor to represent National Geographic. But it's also equally important to remember that we are a funder of research and that we are a player. We're proactive. If we want to tell the stories of people, places, cultures, ecology, whales and lions and other things that I don't deal with, we have to preserve that. We have to be able to take care of our world so that future generations, our kids and their kids, will be able to turn to National Geographic and have the same stories to be told. You know, we have a very special thing with history and culture that's very actually different from, you know, biological world or oceans and things like that. It's the difference is that culture, the past, the remains of our history, is it's non-renewable. Like once a giant Buddha is destroyed, it can't come back. It's gone. Once a site is destroyed, that little piece of history, that piece of people's identity is gone. You can't replace that. And so we become really sort of focused on what can we do as a group, as a bunch of, you know, drummers in a band to get people so that we say, yeah, we can actually do something. That's what this evening is all about. When we look at the world, and certainly that's something that's interesting about geographic, is that we do have as our research arena all the continents of the world, even Antarctica. We don't have that. These circles here, these ovals, are centers of civilization, centers of dense archaeological finds. As you can see, you know, we're looking at something which is not on one continent or another. Now, we're not going to talk about all of these tonight. We're going to look at a few case examples. But when we look at the whole issue of, you know, how to keep cultures and keep identities and artifacts where they belong, how is it that these different cultures can become proud of their role in part of human history in defining humanity? It's huge. It's almost unbelievable. When I work with customs agents about what's coming through the airports, or what's coming through our ports, it's, you know, I show them this picture and I say, you have a huge, you know, issue on your hands. You could have, you know, artifacts from the Andes just as easily as you could have artifacts from Mali, just as easily as you could have artifacts from Afghanistan in a box being transported away from its home. How are you going to deal with that? That's something which is, we're going to talk about those kind of interesting topics tonight. And we're going to look at a few of these areas. I call these archaeological hotspots. And I'm happy to tell you more about those archaeological hotspots in discussion. But I'm going to give you a few examples, and I'll give two, Afghanistan and Peru, just to tell you a little bit about approaches that we can have, very positive approaches that we can help to inspire these artifacts and these cultures to remain alive in the countries where they are. These are archaeologically rich countries, right? All of them. All of them have so many sites, it's hard to count them. Afghanistan is famous for its role on the Silk Road, and we have artifacts all over the place. I think it was the first country where we had sort of an international recognition for a country's cultural heritage, for something that we really wish didn't happen. This is a giant Buddha in the Bamiyan Valley, huge, over 100 feet tall, incredible, built, you know, in the 6th or 7th or 8th century AD. It's been famous. It was a tourist attraction, and many of you remember when it was destroyed. That sort of cultural destruction cannot be replaced. And it, for the first time, focused international attention on, the center of the Silk Road to say, oh my goodness, we didn't really realize that culture was a big factor in this. And I think when it was on the front pages of the New York Times, when it was on the pages of National Geographic, when you saw this on CNN, you realized, oh, this is important. At the same time, people have to realize that fragility of culture wasn't just at Bamiyan. This is 2003 when I first saw the National Museum of Afghanistan. This is the museum. No roof, no windows, and inside, no artifacts. I went there on behalf of National Geographic magazine to sort of write a postscript about what I thought was a tragedy, something that people should know about. But something else happened. Okay, I went to the museum all the way to Afghanistan. I had never actually been to Afghanistan before, even though I had written about it. I had written reports in Archaeology magazine. I wrote my dissertation on it. It was sort of like, I never thought I was going to Afghanistan. And I went and I talked to the museum director, this man, Omar Khan Masudi. He's one of my cultural heroes that this evening is about. And I said, what do I say about the treasures of Afghanistan? And he said, well, the treasures of the National Museum meant a lot to us. And, before the museum was destroyed, we hid them away. Oh, well, he said, that's a secret, but I'm telling you. And we ended up doing something that we never expected to do at National Geographic. We sponsored an inventory of the hidden collections of Afghanistan. This is one of the pieces. We put all these things on inventory, computerized digital images, and we created a passport for these objects. That meant that now these objects were visible to the whole world and could never actually be sold or marketed again, kind of squashing a market for these objects. It also led to the Bactrian Gold exhibition, their feeling of sense of self about this within Afghanistan, a sense of great honor and sort of cultural heritage that they hadn't seen for 30 years. And that's a really positive thing that came out of working together on that. There are other problems, and we continue to work with the Afghans on issues of what happens during the situation when sites are looted. This is actually not an excavation. These are people who are just digging for treasures in Afghanistan. And it hurts me to look at this picture. My friend who excavated the Bactrian gold, he took this picture. And here's a picture of where those artifacts ended up. That's the marketplace in Kabul. I can't tell you how many 4,000-year-old burials this represents, because it's impossible for me to say that. But each one of those vessels represents a piece of culture which is out and about to be sent abroad for pennies on each piece. It's tragic from a personal point of view, from an Afghan point of view, and from a world point of view to see, that's a whole chapter of history right there. So we do things, and I am pleased to say that we work with U.S. Customs, we work with UNESCO, we work with culture, with groups around the world. And one of the things that we do is we help, for example, this is U.S. Customs. This is a shipment of illegally transported artifacts that, thanks to a collaboration between the U.S. government and the governments around the world, including Afghanistan and Peru and quite a few countries, we're able to say, look, these pieces belong in a home and they can be sent back. And we're so pleased to be able to say that repatriations are an important part of what we do here at National Geographic, here in Washington, D.C., and the United States is a really good partner in doing these things. And I think it's a fantastic thing that you should all know about. Let's turn quickly to my second example, which is Peru. So we've moved continents. This is a Peruvian pyramid. Sometimes hard to see, so I put a little drawing of a pyramid to say, hey, look, this is just like Egypt. You're going to see some pictures of pyramids later. You've got pyramids that are known from the Maya area, from Egypt, but believe me, they're in Peru too. But pyramids attract the attention of looters. And things from those pyramids have been on sale in the market for a long, long time. And this is a piece from the exhibition that was on the market in Italy. We're so pleased when the ambassador from Peru asked the president of Italy, that's him in the front, please return this piece of Peruvian culture. And they did. And it was like ancient Rome returning something to ancient Peru. I thought that's kind of a cool concept, right? We're really pleased, but it sat for many years as being kind of like, okay, that's a large, cool mask. Like, what does it mean? And without the context of knowing what it is, it was a little enigmatic. Still very cool, but having the objects in a database that can be presented to anybody as around the world. This is the Larco Museum in Peru, which is a model. The director of the Larco Museum was here. He has a collection of 45,000 objects. You can visit every single one of these objects in high resolution because every single object in their collection is on the web. I think that's fantastic. We don't have museums in the United States that have that, and our best example comes from Lima, Peru. If you look very carefully, we have a piece that was stolen from Peru, was returned by U.S. Customs. It was at the Peruvian embassy, and they said, would you please put this on display? And I was like, oh my God, that's huge. And this piece has been stolen twice from Peru because the market is so high from that. We're trying to reduce that market. This piece, after the exhibition, will be going back to Peru, to its right home. Peru is a nice example because this is using drones to document archaeological sites in Peru. We really are, it's not just archaeologists as Indiana Jones with a shovel and a whip. We use drones, we use satellites, we use best technology available to help us understand and preserve cultures for the world.
A nation stays alive when its culture stays alive. Our people should know what happened. They should know about their culture, about their history.
That is true for every culture around the world. They should know about their culture. They should know about their history. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We need to do the inventory of the collections and sites. We need to help with the repatriations. And we need to get people excited about visiting these countries where they come from, like Egypt. Thank you very much.